goofed it up, but we look fine.
Okay, cool.
So, Ava, you may have difficulty then seeing the screen when we make.
On my iPad because I'm locked out with my authentic.
I turned off my agenda. Where'd it go?
Give me just a minute.
I just accidentally closed it.
And Mayor, you may begin.
All right, great. Since we're with the public online, I would like to now call the April 13th, 2021 Longmont City Council regular session to order. Can we please start with a roll call?
Mayor Bagley, I see you are here.
Indeed.
Councilmember Christensen.
Here.
Councilmember Hidalgo Faring.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Peck.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Waters.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, I'll lead us off with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just a quick reminder to the public, anyone wishing to provide public comment during the public invited to be heard must go ahead and watch the live stream of the meeting and call in when public comment is made available. You'll call that number, follow the information on the screen, and then everyone will have 3 minutes to speak. Unfortunately, the chair will have to cut you off 3 minutes, no matter how much I love or hate what you're saying. So, all right, let's go ahead. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of March 30th, 2021, a regular session meeting? Councilmember Christensen?
So moved. Second.
All right, it was moved by Councilmember Christensen, second by Councilmember Hidalgo Faring. Seeing no revisions, dialogue, or debate, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. All right, the motion passes unanimously. Do we have any agenda revisions, submission of documents, or motions to direct the city manager to add agenda items to future agendas? All right, seeing none, let's go on to the city manager's report on COVID-19. Harold.
Mayor Council, actually, I'm going to ask Eugene to join us today and talk about the changes that are going to be taking place in terms of the state rules and the county rules. The county adopted their new order last night. The governor's made some changes, and so I wanted Eugene to take a second to really ground us on what the world's going to look like now as we move forward for the coming month. And then I'll just have some just quick updates on high level on where we are in vaccination. Next week, Lexi's going to be here and she can really provide you with more detailed information on the vaccine piece. And by then, Carmen's going to have some information about how we may use you all as you're talking to your constituents to help us ensure we're getting people into the system. That'll be next week. Eugene, do you want to talk about all the changes that are happening this week?
Sure thing, Harold. Eugene May, City Attorney. So last week I previewed with council that we were expecting some big changes this week in the dial. And it's starting to come into focus now, what our next couple of months are going to look like. Today at Governor Polis's press conference, he announced that the dial is going to go away on Friday, the state level dial, and not be replaced by anything else. Except for large indoor events, think Nuggets, Avs, those sort of, thousands of people indoors. I think the state is still going to have some involvement to make sure those are conducted safely. On a separate independent track, the masking order, the public indoor space mask order is still in effect at the state level. And that was adopted on April 2nd and good for 30 days. So we can expect that to continue. The real movement was last night, the Boulder County Board of Health adopted a new public health order, in general, adopting the state dial framework. And it's going to be effective on Friday, the 16th, and there's two phases. The first phase, starting on Friday, the county will go down one level, and we're firmly in yellow. So, by all expectations, we're going to be in blue come Friday. That first phase will last for 1 month, not moving around. We will stay in blue, and most of the capacity restrictions in the state dial are going to be applicable in level blue. So I think that really reflects being responsive to the input they've heard from stakeholders and businesses, that we don't want the dial, jiggering around and going between levels. So we're going to be firmly in blue for a month. They still have 22 industry specific categories with different capacity levels. A couple of highlights: restaurants can operate at 100% capacity with 6 foot distancing. That's really a theme that's throughout all of their capacity restrictions. Still want people to distance, still going to mask, and try to keep with your own households. Offices and retail generally at 75% capacity. And then on down the list for the different types of industry categories. For large outdoor events, greater than 500 people, the county is requesting that organizers submit plans to Boulder County Public Health. No approval is required to conduct that event. Boulder County Public Health wants to have the opportunity to have notice and review to make sure that mitigation measures are adequate for that size of event. Come May 15th, we will move into phase 2 for 3 months. There is a new level clear, which has no restrictions, no capacity restrictions, but it's level clear with a snapback provision, which if our hospitalization rate increases, then we would move to the appropriate level based upon our hospital admissions. And they changed it from a raw number to a rate per 100,000. for 7 consecutive days on a 14-day rolling average. So that's really going to sort of even out the peaks and focus on the metric that's most important, which is hospital capacity here. Incident rates is being taken out, number of cases per day. And so, that'll get us into the fall, and, hopefully everything will be going well by then. Boulder County did reserve the right to move the county to a different level if, circumstances on the ground changes. On the masking side, this is important or relevant to council's desire to get back in person. I think the masking requirement is going to be the sort of constraining factor under the combination of the state and local masking orders. City council, if they want to be unmasked, I think are speakers to an audience or for broadcast. And therefore you would need to be 25 feet apart from non-household members, so from each other. That would also apply to staff. I know Harold is typically a speaker, and it would require a 25-foot bubble around the podium and things like that. So, based on those logistical challenges, I think we would be looking to wait until we're in level clear in May, in the middle of May, before really going in person, and then sort of planning maybe on a hybrid or something like that before then, because of these distancing requirements. We would also have to manage the public 6-foot distancing requirements in the audience, the seated event. And I don't think the capacity of city council chambers is over 500, so that part wouldn't apply. So that's kind of a high level summary of changes. Happy to answer any questions or have Harold continue on with his COVID update.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. My question is for non-public meetings such as executive sessions. Would the 25-foot rule, is this specifically a Boulder County issue versus the state? Because obviously we see press conferences with the governor and other members of his staff, and they're within 6 feet of each other. So I'm just curious, as this is a Boulder County initiative, and when we're not having public meetings, could we maybe have an in-person meeting?
So yes, the 25-foot masking requirement is a local public health order. Boulder County order applies to speakers to an audience or for broadcast. 25 feet apart from non-household members. For executive sessions, if there isn't an audience or broadcast, the guidance release starts at 10 or more. And so I think there is some flexibility there. I would have to think a little bit harder about if there was just council, no public. Is that what you were?
My question
asking?
was not pushing back. It was just clarification. So,
but I could look at that.
For instance, yes, an executive session meeting would be an example of that. So,
okay, I'll take a look at that a little further. The order just came out this morning, and I'll look at it with that scenario in mind.
Councilmember Waters.
Well, thanks, Mayor Bagley. Just to clarify, early in the pandemic, we agreed that we were going to follow whatever guidance came from the governor. And I'm trying to recall, I think we did that by a vote, did we not? Didn't we vote to follow that direction? Should we assume now that relative to guidance here, we're not going to get more guidance from the governor? Is that a fair assumption or not? And if we don't, do we need to then take another formal action on what guidance we're going to follow, so we're not in a debate about distances and protocols and how we're going to move forward?
So I'm remembering.
Harold,
One thing,
Eugene, then
I-
Harold, and then.
I
Councilmember
may
Hidalgo
not have
Farah.
been totally precise. The governor did say the dial will stop being regulatory mandates and will just go into guidance status. So we won't know exactly what he has in mind until Friday. And, I think a lot of the social distancing, say for outdoors and masking, is now recommended. It's not required. And so that may factor into how we want to define who and what we're following.
I think when we did this, if I'm remembering, we had a couple of conversations. I think council said CDC, governor, CDPHE, and then Boulder County Health in that order. We'll have to look at it. The thing that Eugene's talking about that's important is the masking order is still a state order. And so that's the nuance in this in terms of how you sit up and whether or not you have to wear masks, because you could theoretically be in the council meeting together based on the rule, but you have to wear your mask as you're sitting at the dais throughout that meeting. And so that's part of the nuance of the orders we're trying to figure out.
So we can sit next to each other within 25 feet so long as we're masked? And then
Correct.
To be unmasked, we have to be with beyond 25 feet?
Correct.
All right. Well, I'm not going to comment because we could be here forever, but it looks like we're going to just be on Zoom meetings for a little while because that's a lot easier than spending time fighting with the county health department. All right.
We think there will be clarity in a month. This, I think, is really in between now and May 16th, if there's anything in our minds starting to say May 16th, right in that time frame is when we come out of it.
Well, when we have our Major League Baseball All-Star game, we'll reassess. All right. Councilmember Hidalgo Farah.
So actually Harold had answered what I was about to say in regards to what our original statement was CDC down through the county. So I don't think we need to revise any of that. I did have a question though. So I mean, really, before we can make assess the situation or make any decision, we're going to have to wait until after the 16th. Is that correct? We can't really make a decision tonight.
No, no, and we'll be as we get closer, but it looks like we will be in level blue from now until May 16th. And the plan is at May 16th to go into level clear as they're defining it. Yeah. What we don't know is what masking rules will be in play because those still exist at the state level and the county level for indoor activities. Okay. So even though the state's relaxing, the masking order, we know for a fact, is still in play until I believe May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay.
Is that correct?
The masking order is on a different 30-day time frame than the new dial. The new dial is 16th to 15th, and the masking order was April 2nd, so presumably to May 1st or 2nd.
All right. Well, with that, it sounds like thanks for the update. And if we need to take action, we'll do it in a couple of weeks as we learn more, and we'll go from there. I've got all kinds of things to say, but the reality is we walk into stores and we're all used to masks and we're free to travel where we want and see life's getting better, I think, for all of us. So, and this way we all get to see each other's beautiful, pretty, shining faces every week. So let's go ahead and go on to special reports and presentations. Anything, Harold? Nothing, right?
Well, just real quick, May 16th is also critical because of where they think they'll be with vaccinations. And next week, Lexi will show that to you all. At this point, we have about 53% of the eligible people that are eligible for vaccinations they're vaccinated. 53% of the total eligible population. And when we look at 92% of the 70 plus are vaccinated, 79% of 60 to 69, and we're seeing that move through. So as they're opening up, we're seeing more. So that's what everybody's focusing on is really that piece. And they have a really good presentation to give you that data We still really are working with our traditionally underserved populations. We're still seeing differences. And hopefully by then we'll have some more information for you all. But that's going to be our ask next week, is where we're probably going to need some help and assistance on this. But we'll cover that next week.
All right, great. Thanks, Harold. All right, let's go on to first call, public invited to be heard. So what I'd like to do, we'll take a 3-minute break, but when we come back, okay, keep the list open for the first call. That will allow us to do a 3-minute break and allow people 6 minutes to get in line. And then after that, cut it off, and then we'll have our list. Is that okay, Councilmember Dale Faring?
That is fine, as long as the public has time to call in. That's all.
That'll give us 6 minutes. It's a win-win. All right. So
I'm
let's go
chiming
ahead.
in. Okay, I'm just
All right.
kidding.
That's all right. That's all right. But we'll take at least a 3-minute break, and we'll be back in 3 to start public invited, first call, public invited to be heard. All right, bye.
Okay, folks, you should see on the screen now the number to call in for public invited to be heard. That number is 1-888-788-0099. When prompted, you will enter the meeting ID 852-6677-9573. Press pound when it asks you for a participant ID. When you are let into the meeting and you can hear through your telephone our instructions, please make sure that you mute the live stream. The live stream is delayed a few seconds.
Hey, Susan and council that's on. I'm having some wonky bandwidth issues right now.
Okay.
I may have to keep my video off and then only come in when I need to make sure I can hear, but I'll try to figure out what's going on.
If you need to leave the meeting, now would be a good time to try and
I
do
don't
that.
think it's not this. I think it's my router.
Okay. Very good.
Susan, I'm going to try coming in on my computer. So I'm going to log out on my iPad, if that's all right.
Stay on your iPad until you log in on the other device. That would be your safety.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Thanks.
Hey, Susan, while we're waiting, is it possible to overtax your router?
Occasionally, I have to unplug the Nextlight and the router, and then start the Nextlight modem, and then start my router again. So yes,
Well,
if you haven't done that in a while, you may want to do that. But tonight's probably not it.
no. I'm just saying I've got kids that have been in school.
Just think
and
of
that wear out a router more quickly.
yes, devices do not last. I don't know how old